Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to say Barakafah Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rokakadash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS. Salutations to all of the sincere Akim worldwide pushing this truth diligently and in all sincerity. The purpose of this video is to emphasize that the relationship between America and England is becoming even more tense, man. Donald Trump and Theresa May are finding out that they've got hella differences, man. And it says here, the title, Make Up or Break Up. It says, May and Trump face awkward Davos meeting after months of bickering. So if you know anything about the recent history of America and England, since Donald Trump took power in America, and this woman, Theresa May, literally appeared out of nowhere a couple of years back and took the prime minister's seat, yeah, they've been going back and forth on their stance on different objectives, with Donald Trump taking a more, very upfront and, yeah, we need to get rid of these Muslims and these terrorists right now kind of approach. And Theresa May is trying to be more conservative on some, well, you have to be politically correct. Basically, these nations are finding a lot of differences between their approaches, man. And Donald Trump, as you would expect, is causing a lot of outrage, man, just by his outspoken nature. And I'll tell you straight up, Apostles have said it before, he's the type of cracker I can at least deal with, because he'll tell you he hates you. He'll tell you he don't like you. He'll tell you he don't want you around him. It's crackers that are on some, well, maybe if we come together, like, all of that is just BS. Because at the end of the day, these Edomites do not like us, man. There's enmity in the sea going back to Genesis, man, even before Jacob and Esau in Genesis 25 and 25. From the first chapter in Genesis onwards down, man, the wicked seed, man, and our seed has enmity between it, man. The Most High himself declared it. But coming back to this topic, you've got it to where Donald Trump doesn't want to come to the UK because he feels a lot of hostility is held for him in this country. And I mean, hey, man, what do you expect, man? The man's a fucking demon, man. But according to the scriptures, man, and I'm going to grab my starting scripture, Yahushai's words, just a second, Akim. Yahushai's words, yeah. Matthew and Mark Salak, Mark the 3rd chapter and the 25th verse, yeah. And it reads, just give me a second, Mark chapter 3 verse 25. And it reads, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Now, Yahushua was talking there about when the scribes and Pharisees tried to say he was of Satan. And he was saying, if I'm of Satan, how can I cast out Satan? A house divided against itself cannot stand. In this context, however, I'm referring to the house of Esau. You see, all of these nations are referred to as houses, man. And you've got it to where these two major Edomite strongholds, being America and England, man, are coming to are locking heads, man, and saying, yo, one of them saying one thing, the other saying another. And ultimately, man, it's going to lead to that World War III, baby, where America's going to come up against Russia, and a lot of America's allies are going to betray her and nuke her with fire, man. That says the scripture in Revelations, which I'm going to grab in a minute. But it says here, Theresa May and Donald Trump are set to meet in Davos, but following months of discord between the two once inseparable nations, will there be a hand-holding and a rekindling of the famous special relationship? Because right now, that relationship's in tatters, man. In recent months, Trump's cancelled state visit to the United Kingdom has symbolized the deterioration of the previously unbreakable UK-US special relationship. Although Trump had initially hoped that May would be the Maggie to his Reagan, referring to the close ties between Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, the relationship has soured in recent months. Under the guise of issues with the new US embassy in London, Trump has snubbed May's offer of a state visit. The Post has claimed he disapproved of the deal to sell the old US diplomatic headquarters in London to Grosvenor Square. According to insiders, May's offer included a banquet and an invitation for him and the First Lady to stay at Buckingham Palace in an effort to avoid an appeal to Trump's vanity. According to anonymous sources cited in the Daily Mail, Trump complained to May about criticism he faced in the British media. He told May in one phone call he would not be coming to the UK until she could promise him a warm welcome, amid threats that the president would face mass street protests upon his visits, as you can see here, because he's calling out homosexuals. He's saying, hey, man, grab women by the pussy. He's saying all kind of, man. He's just saying it as what it is, man, really and truly. And people hate that, man. People hate that, yeah? Especially these feminist groups, they're going crazy. I'm not going to read through the whole article, but basically Donald Trump has offended a lot of people in the UK with his comments, man. Particularly women, man, you know? And the general feeling in the UK is, hey, man, they want Donald Trump impeached. They want him taken out of office tonight if they could, man. A lot of these feminist groups, a lot of these homosexual activists, I mean, he's causing a ruckus, man. And he's literally doing exactly what... I mean, hey, but he's causing problems, man, and it's a beautiful thing because he's rousing up the spirits, man. He's rousing up the spirits and he's causing, oh man, it's a beautiful thing. You see, what it is that the prophecy states in Revelation chapter 17 and 16, which I'm going to bring out in a minute, that the 10 toes were going to hate the whore, man. The 10 horns, Salakia, the 10 horns on the beast in Revelation 17 were going to hate the harlot, man. The harlot that rides the whore is America, yeah? And the 10 horns represent the 10 original NATO nations. And I'm going to grab that right now, in fact, in Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, yeah, these shall hate the whore. Just getting straight to the point. So the 10 horns represent the 10 original NATO nations. Of course, now there's more. There's about 28 because you've got situations where like countries like Spain have split into Spain and Portugal. You've got England, where you got England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, etc. But originally there were 10 NATO nations, and that this is what that prophecy represents. It says the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. And the beast is obviously the revived Roman system. Yeah, these shall hate the whore, being America, the whore that rides upon the beast, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What that's alluding to is that when that time of World War III comes, there's martial law in all of these countries, America is going to get blazed, man. America is going to get hit with nuclear destruction. Yeah, not only from her enemies, not only from Russia, not only from China and Iran, etc. A lot of their allies are going to turn their back on America and shoot on her, man. Being England, being Germany, France, all of these other nations. And Yahweh Shimi Hawashai ultimately is going to orchestrate how it happens. It might be to where America drags them all into war with Russia, they're all getting done, you know, and then they literally just turn on America on them being the sole cause of the war, led by Donald Trump, a president that was in the WWE, I should say. But, hey, man, I truly believe he is the last Trump. Ironically, his name was Trump also. Hey, he's going to be the cause. He's going to be the cause of World War III, man. And he's going to be one of the main reasons why a lot of these NATO nations turn their back on America and forget the ties that they once had. You know, you had it to where Brexit just happened, where you know, it's now apparently officially been declared, even though it's going to take a while to happen. But you've got it to where the UK has now separated themselves from the rest of the EU, man. But obviously they're still a part of NATO, but politically they're no longer in the EU. So, you know, the passports are apparently going to be changing colour, all sorts of things. A lot of these nations are now trying to stand on their own 2 feet. They're trying to separate themselves from the main body. But what did we read earlier in Luke chapter 11 and 7, Mark, it's also in Luke, but Mark chapter 3 and 25, if a house be divided against itself, it cannot stand, man. Yeah? At the end of the day, Yahweh Shemi Hawashai is rousing up the spirits amongst these Edomites, man. You've got it to where you've got Russian Edomites and American Edomites, and they look at each other like they're heathens. They hate each other, they despise each other, but they're both the same nation biblically. Hey, man, the Most High's got these nations in a trick bag, man. Got them fighting against each other, and that's ultimately what's going to happen when the Valley of Jehoshaphat, when a lot of these nations, not only Esau, of course, but predominantly led by these Edomites, when these nations come up against each other to fight, Yahweh Shemi Hawashai is going to appear in the midst of them and fight for Jerusalem. But he's going to use them to destroy each other, man. And that's the beautiful thing about it. You see, Babylon being America, it's not going to last much longer, man. I mean, it's on its last leg. It's really on its last leg. Obadiah verse 6 says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? You see, a lot of the secret things that Esau had maybe hidden from the general public back in the early 2000s, even basic things like the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, all of that. the average commoner knows about the Bilderberg Group now, man. The Illuminati kids are talking about that in primary school. Like, everything that this so-called white man does, man. People know that wars are for profit now and bankers' profit, man. They know the reason behind these wars, man. Not, back in the day, you could have told a man, yeah, America's going to go to war against Iraq to bring home. To prevent them from manufacturing weapons of mass destruction, and we're gonna bring home the troops after a year, and everyone will be like, yeah, rally on, But now people see the bullshit; they see through it, man. Everyone knows that this man is the devil, the true Satan on earth, and that's why it goes on to say in verse 7: all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Hey, man. Ultimately, man, a lot of these nations are coming up against America. They're coming up against Esau as a whole. Like, you got the Moabites, you got you've got the Ishmaelites as well, fighting to the death to keep Esau out of their country. And they're saying, yo, man, we ain't trying to have no ties with you. We ain't trying to deal with you on no sort of level. A lot of countries, even on a geopolitical level, are dropping off the dollar. They ain't trying to deal with that, man. They're dealing with the yuan and other foreign currencies, man, because they want to see America fall. A lot of people are not trying to fuck with America right now, man, because America, at the end of the day, has lost its title as that big bully, man. They tried to bully that playground bully that bullies everyone, and then one day it runs into someone that it can't fuck with and gets shut the fuck down. That's exactly what's happened to America, man. Hey, man, and the golden city being America is coming to a halt. Isaiah 14:4 says, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Yeah. No, the king of Babylon is not Donald Trump. The kings of Babylon are right now are the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, these elite banking families that really rule behind the scenes, innit? And say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord Yahweh Shem Hawashai have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. No one's going to give a fuck when America goes down. The people are going to celebrate, in fact. There's going to be people that had, there's going to be merchants that had goods in America that will lament. It tells you that in Revelations. But for the most part, man, the earth will rejoice for the most part when America gets taken down. Why? Because it says in verse 6, I'll read it again. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. Hey, what goes around comes around, baby. They're going around to all these countries talking about weapons of mass destruction, but they dropped bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. They were the first ones to use the atom bomb, and they're going to be the last ones that nuclear technology is used on. How about that? It says the whole earth is at rest, and it's quiet. They break forth into singing. Hey, I'll go to the main points, verse 9. Hell from beneath thee is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Yeah, I'll go to verse 11. It says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, the worms cover thee. Meaning America is going to be totally buried, man. Going to be made a living, not even a living, so like about an everlasting monument of why you do not mess with your Yahweh Shem Hawashai, man. The Most High is going to have it to where America and England's relationship is going to deteriorate, yeah? A lot of these other nations are going to see America's weakness continue to be revealed, and they're going to build up their confidence, man. You got North Korea, that little island, talking about we going to nuke America. Hey, man, can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Like, imagine being the playground bully and the smallest kid on the block is throwing jabs at you. That's literally what's happening right now, man. Hey, man. Verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakens the nations? Hey, man, Lucifer means light bearers, man. Ultimately relating to the higher up elites when we finally take them down, man. When Yahweh Shem Hawashai judges the nations and he gives us the spiritual power to go out there and bring these fucking Rothschilds and these Rockefellers, the DuPonts, Gettys, all of these elite banking families into captivity, man. We're going to look at them, man. We're going to look at them with ultimate disdain. But before then, man, America itself, man, is going to be brought down to shame. And people are going to look at America like, yo, really? America? Hey, man. I mean, the whole chapter's good. You know, for the purpose of time, I'm just going to cut it there, but the whole chapter's good. In fact, let's go on a bit. For thou ascend in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Hey, man, do they not have satellites up in the sky? Do they not what's the called? Put the assumption out there that they went to the moon and back? Hey, man. You know, they got planes flying everywhere. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. They're trying to say, you know, they're trying to push it to where they believe America is limitless. You know, they believe America is totally unstoppable. They believe America's going to go on forever. But all of the decadent kingdoms before, whether it be the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Grecians, the Romans, they all came down, man. All came down. Hey, it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And America is literally going to become a hellhole, man. Hundreds and thousands and millions of missiles are going to hit that place, man. And that's why verse 16 says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Ultimately, this pertains to when Esau was brought down, man. And the elites, man, the puppeteers behind this freakish puppet show are shown to be the weaklings that they are. But ultimately also, man, America's going to be made an example of, yeah? Oh, man. And it's beautiful, man. Let the relationship between America and England continue to deteriorate, because Yahweh Shai has it in his will, man, that this place, man, is going to be made an example of. I'm going to leave it there. Shalom.